Everyone, I'm here with a quick Canva tutorial on typography. I see a lot of my clients, once I hand over the branding package to them, struggling with creating their own social media content, doing great with the photography and colors, but struggling a little bit with typography. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick tutorial. Just these little tips are going to help you so much. So I'm going to start out here. I just started a blank page on Canva, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull over this quote that I recently used. So I'm just going to drag it in here just so we have some type to work with. So the first thing that I wanted to point out is you always have a choice in Canva of alignment when you're dealing with text. So if I go ahead and click on my text box here, you can see there's this alignment icon. So you can either align center, which is what we have now. You can align left, where everything on the left is lined up and the words on the right are not. You can align right, where everything on the right is lined up and the left is not. Or you can justify. So generally, I advise everyone to either do align left or align center. These generally look the best, are the most readable, the most professional looking. Unless you have a good reason, you can do align right. Like if you were to maybe had an image over here and you wanted the type to be flush against the image. In that case, align right would work well. What you don't want to do is you do not want to use justify in Canva. Justify is good if you're working with long columns of text, if you were to do a layout for like a newspaper or something like that. But for Canva, we're generally using smaller amounts of text. We're generally not that pressed for space because you can add as many pages as you want. So justified, meaning the left side and the right side are aligned, makes really weird spaces in between the words. So you definitely don't want that. It makes these sort of rivers run through. It makes it really, really hard to read. It just looks strange. So I definitely advise against that. I'm going to go back to align center here, which is what we had initially. The second thing I want to go over is spacing. I see a lot of people struggling with that as well. So if I click on my text box here, this is the spacing icon. And there's two different ways that you can play around with spacing. One is the letter spacing in between the letters, and one is the line spacing in between lines. So letter spacing. For lowercase letters, there is no need to space out too much. You just want to space out a little bit. I would say for most, depends on the font. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Depends on the font. But anywhere between 0 and maybe 25, I would say. Once it starts to get too spaced out, it becomes less readable, looks a little funny, and we don't want that. So somewhere around here, I'm going to put it right now at like 16. I think that's a good amount. Now for uppercase letters, generally those are spaced out a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this line down here, which is the author that the quote is attributed to. And I'm going to go ahead and play with the spacing again here. So as you can see, generally for uppercase letters, it looks nice to space it out a lot. If I go down, especially the small size this is, and have it at 100, or have it at 0, 0, which is the default, you can tell it looks very, very squished, really hard to read. So I'm going to go ahead and spacing it out. It's starting to look a lot better once it gets towards 100. I think around 200 looks good. Even as far as 300, it looks really nice, elegant, spaced out. So just as a rule of thumb, you always want to space out uppercase letters unless you're really stressed for space. But generally, you want to go ahead and do that. So as you can see, now it looks really elegant, really nice, really professional. And then one other thing that I wanted to point out here is when you're dealing with a script typeface. So I'm just going to click here, add a heading. just to get some type on the page here. I'm going to pull this down here. And now I'm just going to pick a random script typeface here. I'll use Learning Curve, which I just used. So in this case, when you're dealing with a script typeface, you do not want to space it out. And the reason for this is that the scripts are designed for all the letters to be attached. Zoom in a little so you can see it a little bit more. They're designed for all letters to be attached. So when you space it out, the letters become unattached, which looks really strange. So you want to definitely always have always the letter spacing on 0 for a script font. Same thing happens if you negative space it. You start to see these little lines here poking into the middle of the letter, which of course we don't want. So always make sure that is on 0. And again, the line spacing works the same way. And that is all for today. I'll be back soon with some more typography tips. And definitely follow me on Instagram at Kendra Lebo for more tricks and tips.